TNA Impact, and before we get into the moments that I think worked this week, I want to set the frame for this entire segment because it's important. TNA right now is fighting a very specific battle, not just against WWE, not just against AEW. TNA is fighting for its own identity. It's trying to prove to the wrestling world that it deserves to be in the conversation as a real national wrestling product. Not a nostalgia brand, not a WWE adjacent developmental territory, not AEW with a smaller budget. TNA, its own thing. And here is my question I ask every week when I watch this show. Does this episode answer this question? Because WWE gives you the corporate super overproduction machine. AEW gives you the work rate heavy alternative with its own chaotic ecosystem, shall we say. So TNA has to answer a very specific question every single Thursday night. Why should somebody watch us? And the best answer TNA has, the answer that built careers and created moments that still live in fans' mind, is never because we are kind of like those other companies. The best answer is always going to be because TNA gives you something different. What I mean by that: athletic chaos, weird stipulations, hungry talent getting opportunities they were not getting somewhere else, divisions that feel alive, characters that only exist in TNA's universe, and sometimes absolute nonsense that only TNA would even attempt. This episode had, for the most part, all of that. It also had production issues and a rough moment or two, but it had an identity. And in 2026, identity is important because wrestling fans have options. They can go anywhere. They can go even on the indies. If TNA does not give them something they cannot get from the other channels, there is no argument for tuning in. This episode made the argument, so let's break it down. Welcome to the Tea Drop, Strong Brew, No Salt Behavior. We are going over the 3 top TNA moments and we will start with an honorable mention. The Undead Realm women. Santino's return to power in TNA's weird little world. I am putting this entire ecosystem block together because it represents one specific thing: TNA having a world, not just matches, not just angles, a universe with its own internal logic that runs on its own damn rules. You start with the 6 women tag. You have Tessa Blanchard, Victoria Crawford, and Mila Moore versus Rosemary, Allie, and Mary Sade. And I kind of need you for a minute to appreciate something that happened during this match. Commentary was very smart about this. Commentary casually mentioned that Allie was nixed, dead, killed, not injured, not written off, donezo. And the tone was essentially, yeah, she's gone. Anyway, here comes the match. So apparently, death is apparently not the end in the TNA universe. It is just a booking obstacle. It's just another realm for TNA. And here's the thing that is only ridiculous if the company is not committed to it. When the company commits to it, when Rosemary and Allie and Mary Sade walk out there in the ring, like the Undead Realm is a real place with real rules and real consequences, it works because wrestling is already asking you to suspend disbelief. TNA is just asking you to suspend it a little further. I really wish for the White Six to be here. It would be interesting. They got released. Come to TNA. What's going on, Chief? Hope you're enjoying dinner. Tell me what you're making. What are you making for dinner? What is everyone making for dinner? Let me know in the chat. Rosemary and Allie hit the stereo upside downs. Mary Sade got her showcase with a big dive. There was a codebreaker finish. Mila Moore took the fall, which honestly surprised me because Crawford usually eats the loss when it comes to TNA. But the point of this match was not the wrestling. The point was this introduction of this world. The Undead Realm won. Something different happened on the screen, and the crowd got characters they cannot see anywhere else on TV when it comes to wrestling. I will say this. There was a bad shot of empty seats during this match, and I'm going to be direct. Production has to protect that illusion. When TNA asks fans to invest in the Undead universe, the last thing the camera should show is half-empty section. That reminds everyone they are watching a regional cable show. That is fixable, though. Just fix it for the next show. On the other side of this whole big segment, and I don't have an image of it, Santino Marella is back in power, cleared of all presumed charges he had previously, back in his position. And look, I understand some people are not the biggest Santino fans in this role, but the alternative was Derry Marie running the show full time. And I'm pretty sure that was not a long term direction that was working. Santino gives the show a familiar authority figure. He gives the ecosystem some structure. And the ecosystem at this point has direction. Derry Ray is threatening not to renew Indy Hartwell's contract. Typical authority figure heel move. Nick Nemeth is hinting at cashing in soon. And the next week, we already have Moose and Leon Slater versus the System with their tag team titles and the Knockouts titles on the line. I love me some Undead Realm and Rosemary. I need Havoc back, yes. We also got other people in there. Hopefully, we get more introductions as the weeks come through. I really think the White Six, I'm interested, even if it doesn't work. I want to, gotta give them an opportunity. If this show is meant for they're trying to use these weird skits in the undead realm and all that, I can see how maybe we can see what the White Six can be capable of with this opportunity. And if it fails, then we finally know that maybe the White Six group of characters never really worked on TV. But it doesn't hurt to see if it can in TNA. So I'm really hoping to see them. Maybe them working with Abyss. If Abyss is really going to be a character, even though I know Abyss is a writer or a booker in WWE right now, maybe it can work. I would like to see them try at least. 90 days can't come soon enough for most. TNA gave us a full show, not just matches, a world of strange. Yes, a little uneven, but alive. Absolutely. So finally, enough with the honorable mention. Let's move to number 3. He made another home modern ramens for lunch. Pizza rolls, just got home from work, and Ultraman. Nice. Now, this match between Jeff Hardy and Vincent had an interesting twist. We'll talk about it. This match had a specific purpose, and it executed that purpose cleanly. Jeff Hardy came in hot. Reckless, emotional tempo as always, immediately jumps Vincent, immediately teases the Swanton. That is Jeff Hardy in 2020 success. He is not methodical. He is not patient. He is all reflex and chaos and the accumulated experience of a career spent throwing his body at things. Vincent's counter strategy was smart. He slowed Jeff down. He takes away his chaos. He takes away his movement, makes him feel the years are hitting him. Vincent bent Hardy's back over his knee, worked the damage, made it physical and grinding rather than athletic and explosive. That contrast told the story correctly. The fresh heel making the veteran feel his mileage. Jeff, to his best ability, fought back, set out jawbreaker, spinning mule kick, twist of fate that brought all the history that you know with it. Because every time Jeff hits that move, you remember what it was meant across 20 plus years. Russian leg swept into a roll up, set out gourd buster. And then as Jeff was setting up for the Swanton, the lights went out like that. And when wrestling says the lights go out, we all know what that means. We have been conditioned by years of TNA to know exactly what that means. Broken Matt Hardy is back. I want to be real with you on this. The reaction of Broken Matt returning is always divisive. And both sides have a valid argument because at its peak, and the peak was real, Broken Matt Hardy was one of the most bizarre successful characters reinventions in modern wrestling history. The final deletion, the lake of reincarnation, delete, delete, delete. It was absurd and theatrically and completely committed. And the internet loved it because it felt like something that could only exist in the weird margins of wrestling where rules did not fully apply. The concern is always, it still feel magical, or does it feel like nostalgia? At least that's how it felt in WWE compared to the first time in TNA. And here's where we have to take a stand when it comes to this. TNA cannot build its entire identity in this new era of TV on its past. The Broken Universe works as a special attraction, as a weird side quest, a flavor, I guess. The moment it becomes the whole show, the moment it takes over the title picture or starts dominating every episode, that is when nostalgia becomes a crutch. But this was the right use of it, I guess. The story is happening away from the titles. It is a Hardy versus Hardy universe situation. It is contained. It gives the show a moment. It gives people something to talk about. And there is now the implication, maybe potentially, of another final deletion match somewhere down the road, which is TNA's history means something legitimately unique is coming. Let it be weird, I guess. Let it be separate. Let it be a piece of the show, but not in the title picture. That is how TNA should use nostalgia without being trapped in that nostalgia. Jeff eventually hits the swanton. Vincent was down when the lights return. 3 count, Jeff wins. We move to moment number 1. Mustafa Ali retains the TNA International Championship. Now, let me say something out loud that I have been saying for a while, and I will keep saying until more people agree. Mustafa Ali is one of the WWE's biggest talent utilization failures. They misused him 100% in WWE. He had the athletic ability, the charisma, the look. It was all there. Promo skills was there. The ability to play face and heel convincingly, also there. All of it was there. And WWE kept him in a holding pattern most of the time he was there. Rotating through mid-card feuds. They went nowhere with him. Never the center of anything. Always a supporting character in someone else's story. TNA gave him the space and he is using it. Got it? Can't take that away from TNA. The format for this reign is smart and worth appreciating. Sorry. Ali picks a random country and there is a surprise opponent. This week, Adam Brooks out of Australia. And that format works long term for a reason. Fresh opponents, different styles, weekly hooks. Ali builds a resume of defenses across different challengers, different backgrounds, different athletic profiles. Simple and classic wrestling booking. The champion is the constant, the challengers are the variables. The match itself, though, was very straightforward, effective, clean, nothing crazy. But Ali starts fast, running Brooks over, hits a running Hurricanrana, spin wheel kick. Brooke answers with a kick to the face. Ali gets a backdrop to the floor. But here is his championship moment. He plants Brooks on the floor to cut him off. He is wrestling like a champion who knows how to regain control even when the momentum shifts. Back inside, he does a rolling neck breaker for 2. He then does a chin lock. Eventually Brooks punches Ali out of the air to fight back in. He does a brainbuster onto the knee for a near fall. It was a good showcase moment for the challenger. Brooke missed a corner charge. Ali hits with the 450, and the match is done. That's it. And I want to push back on anyone who says that match needed more. It didn't. Not every match needs to be 25 minutes with 7 layers of betrayal and an outside interference and a post-match attack. Sometimes the champion defends the title, beats a credible opponent who gets their moments, and retains cleanly. As long as it makes sense why it's short, then it's doable. That builds a championship equity for anyone that does this. Every clean defense makes the title feel more valuable. Every defense makes Ali feel more like a centerpiece in that roster. TNA, do not hotshot this. Do not rush it. Let Ali stack his title defenses. Let the International Championship become his title in the audience's mind, because right now Mustafa Ali is the best example of what TNA can offer that WWE and AEW cannot. A talented performer at the center of his own damn universe, being treated like he belonged there. That is powerful. Just give him time. Moment number 1 of the week is Elijah versus Frankie Kazarian. The Walk with Elijah guitar strap match. You thought I was going to say Elias? No, Elijah. Too bad he lost his momentum, which led to Kofi Mania. Hey, I hear you. We needed Kofi Mania, I guess, more. When you got two people in the same situation, who gets him more? My wife loved both men. She was like, I don't know which one to pick. It's tough. You can't have both. It was kind of like my situation at WrestleMania 30. I wanted Daniel Bryan to win. I also wanted Undertaker to kick the living crap out of Brock Lesnar. As you know, I didn't get one of them. And unfortunately, if you want one that helps for the future, you have to sacrifice something else. And unfortunately, that sacrifice wasn't worth it because Daniel Bryan had to drop the title after due to injury. But anyway, we are going to move back to this match. Elijah versus Frankie Kazarian, the Walk with Elijah guitar strap match. This is the most TNA thing I can describe to you at this time, besides the Undead realm. And I mean that as a complete compliment. The match is called, and I need you to hear this, the Walk with Elijah guitar strap match. That is an actual name for an actual match that aired on A&E, AMC. And I want you to know something about that name. It is absolutely ridiculous. It's also perfect, though, because it tells you instantly what universe you're in. TNA needed things that make you go, what did they just announce? A guitar strap match does that? Now, obviously, let me tell you what made this work, because most of the time, the stipulation alone is not enough to make the match great. The execution has to commit to the bit. The match started backstage, and I want to give TNA credit for that, because starting backstage immediately made this feel like a fight that wandered into a wrestling match, not a wrestling match that had a few fight spots. It was messy, it was chaotic. It felt like two people who actually have a problem with each other. Kazarian tried to cheat early, failed. They slugged, and they went back and forth. And this is the spot that made me pause on screen. Kazarian grabbed, for some reason, I don't have it. He grabbed hand sanitizer and blinded Elijah with it. Absolutely stupid, but also completely practical in a TNA backstage brawl at this point. Logic, framework, of course. Kazarian then slammed Elijah's arm in a door. Elijah retaliated by crotching Kazarian on a piece of equipment, put him on a cart, and sent him rolling into a crash. They rammed each other into a garage door, and fought their way to ringside. Eventually, once inside, they did a rope walk, sunset bomb from Elijah, strap whips to the ribs from Kazarian. Elijah ties Kazarian around the post and gets his own shots in. They ran the classic four-corner structure. Elijah hits 3 buckles, Kazarian pulls him down. Kazarian gets his run, hits 3 buckles, Elijah pulls him down. Back and forth, over there, down there, maybe up there, who knows? Building towards the climax. And then the strap breaks. Elijah hits the highwayman's farewell, gets 3 buckles. Kazarian keeps fighting back. He is not giving the 4th one. And then Elijah hits him with the guitar. I swear, I don't have the image. He's like, oh, come on! And hits him with a damn guitar. And that's the finish. Because in a guitar strap match, where in the hell does that guitar not feel important? The guitar shot should matter. And it did. Then eventually, he was able to do the 4 corners, and Elijah wins. Here's what this match was. TNA leaning into TNA. A weird stipulation, a ridiculous name, backstage brawling, hand sanitizer as a weapon, a broken strap, a guitar shot, finish, characters that are fully committed to the bit. None of it would exist in the same form on Raw or Dynamite. All of it works specifically because it was allowed to be what TNA is. And that's the answer to the question I asked at the top of this segment. Why should somebody watch TNA? Because in a wrestling landscape where everything can start to feel corporate, polished, and optimized, and algorithm chase, sometimes the weird company with a guitar strap match, Undead Women, Mustafa Ali, as always, cooking, and of course Broken Matt Hardy teleporting through the lights might be exactly the kind of chaos wrestling needs right now. So, TNA was this whole week strange, uneven, messy, fun, and alive. It had production problems and a divisive nostalgia return and a commentary casually noting that Ali is gone. And it also had Mustafa Ali being built correctly. Elijah winning a guitar strap match by hitting someone with a guitar in an Undead women's division that only exists on this show. That is not a bug, I guess. It's just a feature for TNA. TNA wins when it stops trying to be the other companies and starts being undeniably itself. This week, that was TNA being TNA. And right now, that is exactly what TNA needs to be going forward. So let me know in the comments what you thought were the best segments in TNA this week. Hit the like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.